There are some fighters that have the ability to cut off the cage like it's nothing, making their opponents feel trapped with nowhere to go. These guys know how to use the octagon to their advantage, and more importantly, how to make their opponent feel trapped inside of it. A great fighter doesn't just chase, they trap. They understand the psychology of their prey and know how to push them into a corner where they can't escape. They are like a predator that slowly closes in on its prey, tightening the noose until there is no way out. Footwork is key to mastering the art of cutting off the cage. By using quick and precise footwork, fighters can limit the amount of space their opponent has to move around in. This makes it difficult for the opponent to escape, and they end up feeling trapped and helpless. Great fighters know how to use their feet to control the distance and make the cage feel smaller and smaller until there is nowhere left for their opponent to run. A skilled fighter knows how to make the cage feel like a box. If you're trapped in a box, you only have 4 directions to move: up, down, left, and right. And if someone is controlling all 4 walls of that box, then it becomes very hard to escape. It is much easier for a fighter to control the 4 walls of the box rather than trying to contain their opponent in the middle. When you let your opponent dictate where they are at in the cage, they will always have the advantage because now they can dictate where you are. But if you can turn the tables and dictate where they are in the cage, then you are going to have the advantage. You need to train this type of movement so that it becomes second nature. That way, when you step into the cage, you automatically know how to move and where to be. Great fighters know how to force their opponents to fight and not run. They understand that running is an instinctive reaction to fear, and they exploit this fear to their advantage. By pushing their opponents back against the cage, they trap them and prevent them from escaping. They use a combination of aggressive striking and well-timed takedowns to keep their opponents from being able to run or hide. Once an opponent is trapped, they become much easier to finish, and that is when the predator strikes. You must learn to press forward with heavy hands. If you have 1 hand, 2 hands, 3 hands, 10 hands, whatever you have, you must learn to press forward with those hands. People say that pressure is the opposite of knockout power, but that is wrong. Look at the most feared fighters in any weight class, and you will see that they possess both knockout power and incredible pressure. Pressure and knockout power are not mutually exclusive. In fact, they complement each other perfectly. The secret lies in how you use the pressure. There is reckless pressure, and then there is controlled pressure. Controlled pressure is the key to dominating the cage. When you apply pressure intelligently, you can wear your opponent down over time. As they get tired, their defenses start to break down, and that is when you strike. When you're applying pressure, you want to make sure that you're using a combination of techniques to keep your opponent guessing. For example, you might start by throwing some quick punches to get their attention. Then you would follow up with a takedown attempt. If the takedown doesn't work, you would get back to your feet and start throwing some more punches. And if that doesn't work, you would go back to the takedown again. By mixing it up, you keep your opponent from being able to anticipate what you're going to do next, and that makes it harder for them to defend themselves. It is essential to develop the ability to create angles inside the cage. Being able to create angles allows you to attack from unexpected positions and catch your opponent off guard. It also helps you to control the space inside the cage and dictate where the fight takes place. By mastering the art of creating angles, you can trap your opponent and prevent them from escaping. This is a crucial skill for any fighter who wants to dominate the cage and come out victorious. To improve your ability to create angles inside the cage, it is important to work on your footwork and movement. By practicing lateral movement and creating angles with your body, you can become more unpredictable and elusive. Additionally, working on your striking and grappling skills from different angles will help you to develop a well-rounded skill set that allows you to attack from various positions. Remember, creating angles is a key element of controlling the cage and trapping your opponent. So practice these skills regularly and become the predator that dominates the octagon. Now here's the thing about being the predator and knowing how to cut off the cage. Knowing how to control the pace of the fight and dictate where the fight is going to take place is important. But that is only part of the puzzle. You also need to know when to turn it on and when to turn it off. Because if you keep the pressure on all the time, then you're going to burn yourself out, and that's not sustainable. You need to be smart about when you use this style of fighting. Being able to switch between being the predator and then switching to something else is an important part of this. Knowing when to turn it on and off is important. Knowing when to engage and disengage is important. You don't always have to be in the face of your opponent. Sometimes it is better to keep them at range and pick them apart. Knowing when to switch between these two styles of fighting is important. That is why good fighters are like shapeshifters. They can change their style of fighting depending on what is required. Some fighters are so good at this that they can look completely different when they are fighting different opponents. Some people think that fighting is all about being the most aggressive and relentless pressure machine, but that is far from the truth. Fighting is a chess match. It is a game of strategy and tactics, and the best fighters are the ones who are able to adapt and adjust their game plan based on what their opponent is bringing to the table. A true master of the art of cutting off the cage is not just a pressure machine, but a thinking machine as well. They are able to read their opponent and adjust their game plan accordingly. So remember, brothers and sisters, it is not enough to simply chase your opponent around the cage. To truly master the art of cutting off the cage, you need to become a predator that stalks its prey, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Use your footwork to limit your opponent's space and make the cage feel smaller and smaller. Force them to fight and not run. And above all, learn to turn it on and off. Become the shape-shifting master of the octagon and dominate your opponents with your ability to control the cage. Train hard, fight smart, and may God always be with you.